This just in, Caitlin Clark is out for at least 2 weeks with
We got
a
breaking
quad
news in
injury.
here, and if you are a Caitlin Clark fan, like so many of us, this is not news.
The WNBA is facing its worst nightmare. Caitlin Clark is officially out with a quad strain and will miss at least 2 weeks. This isn't just any player going down. This is the league's golden goose, their biggest ticket seller, the face of a growing brand, and their ratings machine. Now, she's sitting on the sidelines, and you can bet the league office is holding emergency meetings as we speak. This could be catastrophic. But here's the question. Was Caitlin pushing through the pain for too long? Or did this injury come out of nowhere? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
Has been injured. The news was announced just a few hours ago by the Indiana Fever. The team saying Clark has a quadriceps strain and will be out for a minimum of 2 weeks. Clark just played in the Fever's last game against the New York Liberty this weekend.
Let's be completely honest about what just happened here. The Indiana Fever just announced that Caitlin Clark has suffered a left quad strain and will be out for at least 2 weeks. Now, 2 weeks might not sound like much over the course of a full basketball season, but in the WNBA, this is absolutely catastrophic for reasons that go far beyond just basketball.
A little bit more specifics. Chloe Peterson, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark has suffered a left quadriceps strain, will be out a minimum of 2 weeks.
Think about this for a second. Caitlin Clark, in just her second year as a pro, was so determined not to let her team, her coaches, and her fans down that she kept playing through real pain. She knew something wasn't right, but she kept suiting up, kept competing, and kept carrying the weight of an entire franchise on her shoulders. Now, depending on your perspective, that's either incredibly admirable or incredibly reckless. Because that same determination, it just backfired badly. Instead of resting when she first felt the strain, Caitlin kept pushing. And now, she's been officially ruled out with a left quad strain for at least 2 weeks, and possibly longer. And the timing could not be worse. The Indiana Fever are currently 2-2. Not exactly a disaster, but far from dominant. They're a young team trying to build chemistry, confidence, and playoff momentum. Now they'll have to face some of the most important games of the season without their superstar. And let's not sugarcoat it. This team simply does not function the same way without Caitlin Clark on the court. Looking ahead, she's expected to miss massive matchups, including the Chicago Sky game, which would have been a ratings goldmine. She's also out for 2 key contests against the Washington Mystics, a battle with the Connecticut Sun, and maybe even a showdown with the New York Liberty, depending on her recovery timeline. These aren't random games. These are season-defining clashes. But perhaps the biggest blow? It's what this injury does to Caitlin's individual accolades. Her MVP campaign? Dead on arrival. In a short WNBA season, missing 4 to 6 games is basically disqualifying. Even her shot at All-WNBA first team is now in serious jeopardy. It's not about fairness. It's about availability. And in this league, if you're not on the court, you're out of the conversation.
It goes without saying that Caitlin Clark being injured is a tough blow for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA.
Let's be brutally honest. This isn't just another sports injury. This isn't just about a strained quad muscle. This is about the entire trajectory of the WNBA season being flipped upside down. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's the player, the face of the league, the one name that brings casual fans into the arena, casual viewers to their screens, and casual media outlets to finally pay attention to women's basketball. And now, she's out for at least 2 weeks, with a left quad strain. At first glance, 2 weeks might not seem like a huge deal. But in the WNBA, where the regular season is just 40 games, 2 weeks could mean 5, maybe even 6 games. That's nearly 15% of the season, gone in a flash. And when it's your biggest star who's sitting out, that absence sends shockwaves far beyond the Indiana Fever locker room. Here's what the WNBA doesn't want to admit publicly, but is absolutely feeling behind closed doors. Caitlin Clark's injury isn't just a blow to the Indiana Fever, it's a full-blown existential threat to the league's momentum. When Caitlin Clark plays, people watch. When she doesn't, there's no guarantee those same people tune in. And that is the nightmare scenario. Since the moment she declared for the WNBA draft, the league has gone all in on Caitlin Clark. She's been front and center in promotional campaigns, ticket sales pushes, and social media strategies. Her rivalry with Angel Reese, her Steph Curry-esque shooting range, her fire and competitive edge, all of it has helped turn what was once a niche audience into a growing national conversation. And now, that conversation is in serious danger of drying up, at least temporarily. From a business perspective, this is catastrophic. The Indiana Fever have already seen record-breaking attendance and merchandise sales thanks to Caitlin Clark. Ticket prices for Fever games are dramatically higher than last season. Opposing teams count on the Caitlin effect to boost their own home game revenue. With her out of the lineup, attendance is expected to drop drastically. And that's not all. Television ratings, another major part of the league's growth strategy, are directly tied to her presence on the court. The WNBA's broadcast partners like ESPN and CBS have invested heavily in Caitlin's storylines, her matchups, and her star power. Without her, ratings could plummet. Advertisers, sponsors, and network executives won't say it publicly, but they're absolutely sweating right now. Now let's shift gears and talk about what this means for the Indiana Fever. This entire team was designed to function around Caitlin Clark. The roster construction, built to maximize her strengths. Shooters to space the floor. Rim-running bigs for pick and rolls. Wings who could slash off her passes. But without her, the offensive structure collapses. Caitlin isn't just the team's top scorer. She's their primary ball handler, their top playmaker, and their emotional leader. You can't replace her with just one player. You can't really replace her at all. And now, players who are thriving in supporting roles will be asked to carry the load. Can they step up? Sure. But not everyone is built to suddenly jump from taking 4 shots a game to 10, or from being a spot-up shooter to a primary initiator. Some might rise to the occasion. Others, they could crumble under the pressure. From a strategic standpoint, the entire way opposing teams approach the Fever has now changed overnight. When Caitlin is on the court, teams design their entire defense around her. She warps space, draws traps, forces switches, and opens up opportunities for everyone else. Without her, defenses can play more balanced, more traditional. They don't have to overextend. And that makes life a lot harder for the rest of the Fever's roster. Let's look at the games Caitlin is set to miss, and why they matter. She's definitely out for the Chicago Sky game, which was supposed to be a marquee showdown, a continuation of the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese college rivalry. That game was going to bring in casual fans, spark debate shows, and dominate the social media conversation. Now, without Caitlin, that spark is gone. She'll also miss 2 matchups against the Washington Mystics, a team the Fever have already beaten, but that was with Caitlin on the floor. Beating them again on the road, without your superstar, is a whole different challenge. Then there's the Connecticut Sun, a perennial playoff contender with a deep, balanced roster. Without Caitlin's offense, the Fever might simply not have the firepower to keep up. And if her recovery takes longer than expected, she could miss the New York Liberty game too, another potential playoff measuring stick matchup.
All of her career, the team can work on integrating some of its new pieces when clearly with Clark without the ball since she won't be in the lineup, and they have an easier stretch coming up of games against lesser opponents than they faced thus far. But it's always concerning when the superstar gets hurt.
But perhaps the most devastating part of all this? Caitlin Clark's individual accolades are now dead in the water. Let's call it what it is. Her MVP chances are over. In a league with such a short season, you simply can't miss 4 to 6 games and expect to stay in the MVP conversation. Voters won't ignore that. And all WNBA first team? Severely compromised. Even if she comes back and dominates, voters will compare her availability to players who never miss time. It's harsh. It's unfair. But it's reality. And we haven't even talked about the psychological impact on the Fever. Losing your star doesn't just hurt your scoring, it shakes your confidence. When your leader is sidelined, it can destabilize everything. Some players try to do too much, others become hesitant. And with such a young roster, that emotional volatility could be dangerous. Now, let's talk about what caused this injury and whether it was even necessary. According to reports, Caitlin had been feeling the strain before the diagnosis, but she kept playing through it. That speaks to her heart, her toughness, and her unbelievable work ethic. But it also speaks to a bigger issue, the pressure she faces. Caitlin Clark knows how much her presence means to the WNBA. She knows she's not just a player, she's a brand. Her every move is under a microscope. And that pressure, whether internal or external, likely played a role in her decision to push through pain rather than sit out. But now that decision has come back to bite her. And it raises some very uncomfortable questions for the Fever organization. Was the medical staff monitoring her condition closely enough? Were there proper load management protocols in place? Could this have been avoided with better oversight? Let's not forget, the WNBA season is compact. The travel is demanding. There's very little time for rest, and players are often asked to carry enormous physical and emotional loads. If the league is serious about growing its audience and protecting its stars, they must address these issues head-on. There is, however, one silver lining. This is a strain, not a tear. That distinction is critical. A quad strain, while painful, is usually not a long-term injury. With proper rehab and rest, Caitlin should return to full strength. The Fever are reportedly being cautious, opting to hold her out for at least 2 weeks. And honestly, that's the right call. It's better to lose her for a few games now than risk losing her for months later. But the clock is ticking. Every loss during her absence matters in the playoff race. The Fever cannot afford to spiral while she's sidelined. Meanwhile, fans are in panic mode. Social media is flooded with speculation, frustration, and fear. Many blame the team for not protecting Caitlin earlier. Others are devastated by what this means for her MVP campaign. Some still hold out hope that 2 weeks is just a blip in a long and successful season. But even the betting markets are reacting. Caitlin's MVP odds have vanished. The Fever's championship odds have taken a massive hit. That tells you just how crucial she is, not just to the team's success, but to the entire financial ecosystem surrounding the WNBA. So, here's the final question. The one everyone is asking. Will Caitlin Clark return in exactly 2 weeks? Or will the Fever and the WNBA take the longer view, giving her extra time to heal fully, even if it costs them more games now? Only time will tell. But one thing is absolutely clear. This injury changes everything. For Caitlin Clark, for the Indiana Fever, and for the WNBA. 2 weeks might not sound like much, but in this league, it could be the difference between MVP and forgotten, between playoff dreams and lottery nightmares, between a breakout season and a massive step back. So what do you think? Will Caitlin Clark rush back in exactly 2 weeks? Or will she play it safe and sit out longer? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth WNBA coverage, updates, and breakdowns.